Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you.
Where does love come from? Well, love comes from God, Source, the Creator, all that is. But more specifically, how do we connect with love and allow love to emerge through us as these human beings that we are? Well, I'm going to propose that love springs from honesty. So what do I mean by that? When we're honest about how this world works, then love comes out naturally. Love is the natural result of understanding what's going on here. So what is going on here? Well, we live in a world where things appear and disappear. Water evaporates, wood decays. Also, we can assemble new things from raw materials. You can take a blank canvas and paint a picture, allowing something new to come forth. So we live in this world where energy coalesces into matter. So we have energy and it coalesces and things appear and we interact with things with our physical senses, with our sight and our hearing, taste, smell, touch. And something else is going on too, right? So when matter decays, when it disappears, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Something endures. The eternal is everlasting, is underneath it all. That we're experiencing the infinite eternal expressing in a multitude of ways. The infinite eternal is expressing as me and as you and plants and dolphins and giraffes and dragonflies and I hope having a great time. So when we can approach life with this awareness that, yes, things are temporary, we have things that appear and disappear, and there's an underlying source of all that is. There's potential energy. There's always potential in everything. So what happens when we shift our understanding or our perception this way? If we focus our lives on things that appear and disappear, then life can feel empty. It can feel meaningless. It can be depressing because we know that some things are just temporary. They're going to come and go. So we don't want to base our joy or our purpose on objects, on material things around us. What's important, as the human beings that we are actions and relationships. Actions and relationships. So to relate honestly, when we focus on actions and relationships, we don't focus so much on things or on objects. So again, things are, energy coalescing is matter. That's important. It's important to have objects that we have in our lives. For example, let's say you have a blanket. Well, of course, you can use that blanket on the bed, on the sofa, but you can take other actions. You could use a blanket as a robe. Have you ever done that? Get your blanket and just walk around. You could use a blanket as a curtain. You ever nailed the blanket on a wall just to block out some light? You could use a blanket as luggage. You can put a bunch of items in the blanket and gather up the blanket and then walk around like Santa Claus, like with a big thing. You can use a blanket as a fire extinguisher. That's part of fire safety, right? Have a blanket handy. You could have different relationships with a blanket. Maybe you have a special blanket that your grandmother made or that your mom made. So actions and relationships. When we put our attention there, it's much more informative than just focusing on static things. We don't treat people as things because that would negate their beingness. That would negate the light, the conscious light that is in each person. So instead of treating a relationship as a thing, like I have a relationship, like I have a TV, we can treat a relationship as an ongoing series of choices. A relationship is an ongoing series of actions and choices. And our attention is really valuable, and we can consciously choose where to focus our attention. In our language, we even use the term pay attention, because attention has a cost. If I'm focused out here, then I'm not paying attention to these plants, and that's okay. But we can just consciously know that we're making choices with our attention. So your attention has value. Your attention is valuable. In fact, your attention is a commodity. Do you scroll through social media sometimes? You know, if you stop on a video, you're going to get more of those videos. So they're like, oh, this person likes cats, elephants, panda bears, whatever, cars making pit stops in car races, I don't know, whatever. Do you ever like try not to look at the video? I'm not going to look at that one because they're going to give me more of it. I know it. Do you ever hide from the gas pump these days? You know, you start fueling and then the gas pump starts blaring and it's playing music and giving you news that you didn't even know you wanted and showing you commercials. It's trying to engage you, right? It's trying to get you to notice. That's the basis of advertising. So attention is valuable. You could even argue it's the most valuable way of being that you can give to somebody. So in relationships, when we bring forth love, we have to be honest about what is occurring. We need to make some honest assessments about ourselves and other people so that we can really connect with and allow love to emerge. And that means not denigrating ourselves or other people, not feeling unworthy, and also just not finding fault all the time, and not being blind to areas for growth, because we all have areas for growth as well. So we can be honest that we are all worthy of love. We are all loved. We're all loved by the divine source, creator of all that is, and we can be honest about that. Let's talk about what honesty is not. What honesty is not. Now, sometimes you might have an emotion and it feels like love, but it's based on personal desire and ego, or it's based on need. There's so many songs on the radio like, I need you, I can't live without you. That's an attachment. Listen, attachments aren't bad or wrong. They're opportunities to complete whatever's incomplete in our existence. Whatever's incomplete in our awareness, we can work toward completion by resolving our attachments. So attachments aren't bad. It's effective to be aware of what is an attachment and where am I coming from divine unconditional love. The opposite of honesty is not seeing the world as it really is, not being aware of the oneness that underlies all creation. And when we focus on things or on thingness, that can be a dead end. And at a dead end, there's often a lack of clarity. There can be confusion and disorder. So it's not very effective to just go down a path of thingness. It's dishonest to think of this space as a world of inert objects. It's dishonest because it overlooks or denies the conscious light that is in everything. Everything has a spark of the divine. Everything is filled with conscious light. So when we focus on appearances, that can thwart our connection and make us feel separate. But again, when we know that the conscious light, the divine, is a spark in everything, then we can connect with that vitality and that nurturing energy and that joy and that clarity. Have you ever had a problem with a computer, a vehicle, some kind of electronic device? And have you ever just started complaining about it and saying mean things to it? Did that help? Might try appreciation, and asking for that listening spirit. What can I do to help in this situation? What does it need? What does it want? What can I help bring forth? Let's talk about honesty in speaking. Speaking dishonestly can lead to malformed results. Malformed results. What is speaking dishonestly? Malicious gossip, flooding the zone with nonsense, anything that sows division and separation. Also, honesty doesn't mean speaking whatever crosses your mind. Honesty doesn't mean I have to blurt out what's on my mind because then I'm honest. Sometimes the most honest thing is to remain silent. And why is that? Because we're connecting with our conscience. We're connecting with divinity. And sometimes it's not our place to tell people what we think they should do and try to solve all their problems for them. So one thing to be aware of in conversations is permission levels. Sometimes I don't have permission to tell people what I think they should do, what book they should read, and what video they should watch. Sometimes the best thing we can do is give the gift of our attention. Give the gift of our attention, our presence, our awareness, and listen. And just listen. Even if you do have a good idea. And you could ask permission. Do I have permission to share something that worked for me, something that I found helpful? Now, last week, Reverend Michael Gott taught us that honesty and responsibility restore integrity. Honesty and responsibility restore integrity, and I want to delve into that a bit. So integrity has a couple of meanings, and one is an unimpaired condition, soundness. That's integrity. And another one is the quality or state of being complete or undivided, completeness. That's from Merriam-Webster. So honesty reveals integrity, both in the sense of being moral and uncorrupted, and also in the sense of being whole and undivided. So living is a process of becoming more and more honest, more connected with living a virtuous life. So why is this important? Why should we care? Why should we try to live honestly? Socrates, the Greek philosopher, said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." The unexamined life is not worth living. And according to Aristotle, the way to live an examined life is seek truth, learn virtue, discover your purpose. Seek truth, learn virtue, discover your purpose. The path of honesty leads to virtue. So when we live honestly, we see that the world is not broken. The world is not broken. We feel broken. Sometimes we feel broken. We have a lot of challenges. We're confronting a lot of big issues that we need to deal with, just like every era did before us. So yes, we face great challenges, but if we go through life thinking that the world is broken, there's two paths that can lead to, and I think two paths that are ineffective, that are not effective. And one is the problems are so numerous and overwhelming that there's nothing I can do. And another one is it's someone's fault and I'm going to be mean and angry about it. And neither one of those are effective for delving into honesty and connecting with honesty. So what we want to do is be aware of that wholeness, the oneness that underlies all appearances. Even when we face huge problems, the infinite, eternal always has solutions. Solutions are always available. So our work is to allow those solutions to emerge through us with clarity, with joy, with connection, with insight, with creativity, with guidance. We live in a world of duality. So we experience day and night, back and front, present and absent. That's just the human condition, the human situation that apparently we signed up for. And this is a quote from Howard Supportus, a teacher and an author. All mystical traditions view the enlightened person as someone who has seen beyond the illusion of opposites. The enlightened person sees beyond the illusion of opposites. Now, we need our human self, we need our ego, we need our senses to interact with the world. We need to eat food, we need to gather resources, we need to participate in activities that are refreshing and renewing. But we don't need the ego, the personal self, the human self, to be in charge of the whole operation. So we need to have both working in harmony for peace and harmony and wholeness in life. So an effective way to be a human being is to live with conscious awareness and put the personal approach in its proper place. The ego, the personal approach, is an ambassador. It's a helper. It's the ambassador, the interacting with the daily world, but not the one in charge. So yes, we're human beings. We are also spaces of possibility. Everything that we see and interact with is a space of possibility. We are spaces of possibility. So living honestly means being clear about what's going on in this human experience. And in this experience here in this universe, things appear and they disappear. But instead of focusing on objects, we can focus on being a bridge between the seen and the unseen, between the physical and the non-physical, between the mundane and the sacred, between the personal self and the eternal self that continues to endure. So when we're honest, we realize that we are one with God. And in that state, we can't help but experience and express love for and compassion for all beings, because living honestly means living as your divine self and as your human self simultaneously. So when we live honestly, we understand that the infinite, eternal, the God, the source of all that is, and honesty are the same. They're the same. They're synonymous. Because the source of all creation cannot be anything other than honest. The source of creation is always honesty in action. So we live on this beautiful planet with amazing people, and we're equipped to continue the progression of consciousness. That's why we're here, and that's why we gather, and that's why we seek, and that's why we're on this spiritual path. We're progressing the consciousness of humanity. So let's be honest that consciousness endures beyond a particular body. Consciousness endures beyond form, beyond appearances. And we are all part of oneness that is expressing in a multitude of ways. And actions and relationships are key to living effectively. So instead of seeing things as things, we can connect with the conscious light, with the consciousness, with the spark of divinity that is in all things. We are radiant beings. We are radiant beings with light, can allow that light to come forth through us, as us. And we are experiencing interesting times here as human beings. This is an interesting place. It's not always easy. And that's okay. It's part of life. We confront some challenges. We can confront some suffering. And we can always know that there's enduring energy and love and compassion eternally, always, for us and for others. So when we're honest about who we are in this space of possibility, we bring forth creation. We create. We are creative. And we bring forth what is into the seen world from the unseen world. We bring forth. So let's draw on inspiration and love and effective language and other aspects of the divine. Because when we're honest about how life works, we see that love is inevitable. Love is the inevitable result of connecting with oneness and the source of all that is. Let's pray. So in this moment, let us clear ourselves of any resistance, any tension, any residual things that we don't want to carry forward, any thoughts, feelings, emotions. Because when we allow the releasing, we come to the space of clarity. And in that space of clarity, we have the possibility of love and compassion and joy. And so we can connect with and call forth whatever wants to emerge in this moment: healing, health for the body, calling the cells to be vibrant and alive, and any cells that are no longer needed, they can disappear, dissolve back to where they came from. So calling forth health and vitality in the physical body. Calling forth a space of peace where there's discord, peace where there's any kind of confusion or separation or division, that we know that every soul is bringing forth light from within our beings. Calling forth resources for those who are ready to experience more abundance and prosperity in life, that we know that we are always divinely guided so that we can tune into our intuition, tune into our conscience and consciousness, and know who to contact, what job to pursue, when to say yes, when to say no. Notice the doors that are opening and walk through those doors and go down those paths. And then for anyone who's experiencing any kind of loneliness, knowing that there's always ways to serve and connect and express our beingness and express our love for other creatures, for human beings, for plants, for animals. So that by being of service, we allow ourselves to be filled to overflowing with joy and love and light and compassion. So we know that when we come together and when we focus our energy, when we focus our attention, we are creating a vortex. We're creating a space of possibility, a space of energy and oneness. And so in this space, we know that all is sacred, and we can put our arms around everything with compassion, the suffering, the problems, the challenges, the obstacles, and the light, the beingness, the source of all that is, knowing that we can always reconnect with the infinite, with the eternal, with God, with oneness. And so we say yes to our calling, saying yes to being who we came here to be, with insight, with divine guidance, connecting with the other people in this room, with the people online, with everyone who has had something to do with growing and nurturing and sustaining Unity of Houston. We are a community, and we walk together through all of the ups and downs of life, through the valley of the shadows and the high love and light that we know we are. And so embracing all of the human experience, the human condition, finding some appreciation for all that we've been through, for all that is, for all that was and all that ever will be. We are love and we are light, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.